Welcome back to A Healthy You. It always amazes me when an oncologist develops cancer or a cardiologist has a heart attack. Shouldn't a cardiologist be able to keep from having a heart attack? And shouldn't an oncologist be able to prevent and cure his own cancer? One would think so, but I guess that would only be in a perfect world. However, in my little perfect world, I happen to meet a plastic surgeon who cured himself of food allergies. I don't know, I kind of find that funny. I mean, maybe he should have been an allergist. His name is Dr. Vincent Giampapa, and I thought I might bring his story to you. Take a look. So I had missed my airplane, and we were sitting in the airplane lounge together, and we had this amazing discussion about allergies. Now, I know you're not an allergist. I know that you are the premier anti-aging doctor. But I thought it was very interesting what we talked about. So my first question to you is, what's the difference between a food allergy and a food intolerance? Because they're two different things.
Over time, we all develop allergies to certain foods because as our intestines age, we don't actually have the ability to absorb the nutrients or foods or specific types of foods optimally. So those large particles of foods get absorbed and create an allergic response. Food insensitivities are things that we tend not to tolerate due to mainly enzyme deficiencies like lactose insufficiency or lactase insufficiency and other types of things that don't allow us to fully digest a compound. So the two major components of food problems are really the insensitivities or the sensitivities and the allergies per se.
Well, I heard there was another way to tell them apart, and one of those is that the food intolerance actually appears days later, whereas a food allergy can be almost immediate and can cause death.
Exactly, you're exactly right. And let me make a point about that. That is so important that there are tests that have actually come out to allow you to test for a food allergy, and not just foods, but chemical allergies and a lot of the artificial compounds that are put into food. So if you know that prior to ingesting certain things, you can avoid that.
And food intolerance actually is the #1 cause of obesity and aging, whereas food allergies, as we said before, can cause death, and it's more immediate. Your throat closing up, having trouble breathing. Now, you had the latter. You had food allergies. And you told me what you had done to figure out which foods you were allergic to and how to reintroduce them. And I thought that was more important because most people, if they're allergic, they think they can't eat that food forever. So take us through what you did.
Okay, so because I love specific types of foods which I know are healthy for me, I wanted to know what foods were really the best for me to continue to have my optimal nutrition and to age optimally. So what I did is I took a test called the ALCAT test, which is available.
I have your test right here.
There it is. And this is a wonderful tool to really screen the foods.
I mean, look at this. This is like, so it tells you what you have to avoid, things that you're moderately allergic to, and things that are great and you can eat. You didn't have that many that you completely had to avoid, did you?
Exactly. So by looking at this scale from severe to very mild allergies, you can really start to limit the things that create these
really cause a problem for you.
Inflammation, accelerated aging, even in your skin, and anything that creates inflammation creates free radicals, which are really a major problem from skin aging to your whole body in general. So what's unique about this test is once you know these things that create that type of response, which accelerates aging in general, you can remove those things from your diet, but that doesn't mean you have to avoid them forever. So what really you do...
Well, that's the interesting part. What did you do? Yeah.
You introduce those foods. You wait about 4 or 5 months, and the body's immune system gets tampered down. And you can then slowly introduce those foods again without eliciting that response.
But one at a time. So in other words, I think what's happening is people are eating a lot of foods that they're allergic to. They're not really digesting them well. They're going into their intestines, and it's irritating, causing inflammation, causing big pieces to break off into the system, causing an allergic response. So if you cut those things out, what's going to happen is you'll clean your system out, basically. And then you can reintroduce slowly, one at a time, and hopefully digest them better. So maybe a digestive enzyme might even be good there.
No question, digestive enzymes are usually a part of this because, you know, as we age, we not only lose the ability to digest food, which starts actually in our mouth with the...
yeah, but who chews foods the
yeah.
38 times or 34 times
Right.
you're supposed to chew? And what was that as a kid? You remember that?
Exactly. But
I
you
don't
know,
even remember.
the secret is to, yes, introduce enzymes, are essential part of, if you will, a good anti-aging program.
Right, right, right.
And then knowing what foods you need to remove initially to slow down that inflammatory process, and then introduce them slowly, one at a time, with the aid of enzymes, because as we age, our GI tract in general starts to produce less enzymes, but also is not able to absorb the nutrients as optimally. So this is kind of, if you will, kind of a retreat for your intestines and give them time to recover and actually function better if you do this process.
So basically, clean yourself out, reintroduce slowly, take some enzymes, and you can probably start to eat the food you like again. But as we said, it's very important to get the test and work with your doctor on doing all this. But you were able then to eat some of the foods that you love that they had asked you to cut out.
I now can eat my spinach. I can now eat my kale. I can now eat the things
Can
that
you
I
imagine
know.
being allergic to spinach and kale? It's so depressing.
Well, I was eating it anyway, wondering why.
You felt so cruddy
exactly,
afterwards.
Exactly.
Well, I just thought this was so fascinating. I had to get it on camera because one of the things we like to do on this show is personal stories from people that basically got over on their ailments or their allergies or whatever. And I thought this was fascinating. I really appreciate you telling your personal story, Doctor.
Anytime.